So yeah, welcome back everyone. Oh shit, that's a garage. We don't need that. We don't need that. We don't eat garages. So let's get back on the road. Oh, come on. Well, we didn't obstruct the traffic or anything, so should be fine. Oh yeah, there was this big industrial ground here. So let's see what they have to offer. So yeah, part 2 of our test driving experience. It's gonna be a long night, everyone. We need something... Copenhagen, Dijon. Rostock. Let's take Dijon. I don't think we've been to Dijon, so we may have, but let's check the map. Actually, no, we haven't been to Dijon. So this might be a long one, but at least we'll get our kilometers. So let's see. Let's grab our load. I don't know what we're transporting, but we'll see. Yeah, it's actually for the best because I'm not really satisfied about my first part because I reloaded the game, obviously. Alright. Oh. Let's turn that damnable thing off. You too. Although, no, we didn't needed you. Now that I think about it. Yeah. Alright, everyone. Man. So yeah, it's also for the best because I wasn't finished talking yet. So yeah, you know, I'm looking for a way to kind of deal with that mythology, and obviously poetry was one way of doing that because, you know, I read Robert Graves, for example, and he also talked about the relationship of the poet to the muse and all that stuff. So that's part of my storyline, obviously, and you know, part of what I tried to do as a poet was, you know, the thing is that I don't see my story just as my story, you know, I see it connected to a whole lot of factors. So I do believe it's kind of a race consciousness or a kind of a collective subconsciousness, more likely. So, and that my experience is not my own, you know, it's not, I'm not the only one who experiences it this way. And I'm also, I don't know, I'm also not the only one who interprets it this way, you know, so, you know, and the thing about poetry is, and that's also part of my thesis, because, and I don't, you know, I don't write my thesis, I also write my thesis for that reason, you know, because I'm dealing with a certain problem. Let's check the map again, because, okay, so we are going to pass Luxembourg. Let's take a... So yeah, I'm going a bit slow. I should speed up a little bit. So, part of my thesis is also about how poetry, through illustrating specific examples, can give us a view of the big picture, so, and art in general, so even though you can only depict something specific, something concrete, through the way you depict it, you can express something bigger than that. Which is the whole deal, the whole function of art, in my opinion. And that's what, and that's what I try to do with my poetry as well. I try to express how my situation is representative of not only of how other people, or how we feel collectively somehow, or not only of how I feel, but how we feel collectively. So, and not only people in general, like as a statistic, but historically as well, and culturally and politically, and all these problems somehow tie in with the same story, with the same problem, something that has been subverted and destroyed, and divided by division, actually, namely unity. Unity has been subverted. So culturally, for example, the Netherlands was one country. So Holland and Belgium was one country. And now it isn't, even though they speak the same language, and the same goes for a whole other spectrum of problems across the globe. In Greece, for example, we have the problem with Cyprus, which is in the same way a bilingual country, with one Turkish half and one Greek half, and they're constantly at each other's throats. And Greece also has the same problem with Macedonia and Constantinople, Istanbul now, which are kind of like hostage cities, And it's kind of scary if you think about it, how these things work out. Oh, come on, don't, yeah. And they're not supposed to, somehow they're, even though we act as if it's all normal, somehow there's still something that tells you something's not right, And I saw the same thing, for example, so let's go back to Constantinople, for example, which is an important keystone, I guess, in my worldview, a typical example of this subversion, but there have been other examples afterwards as well. But a few years back, when I went to Greece, I was playing Assassin's Creed with my brother. Assassin's Creed. I like to call it Assassin's Creed, but and we were playing Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, I think was the title, where he was in Istanbul, in Constantinople. And it's really strange how the Byzantines, they insist on calling the Byzantines, for example, which wasn't how they called themselves in that time anyway. But that's peanuts, that's no problem. But how they insisted that they were the Templars and stuff, so there was Byzantine Templars, which is like it's inconceivable, And I don't know. There might be some. I don't know. There might, they've had connections and stuff. They've had to have had connections and been influenced, or. But that's the whole thing, The Byzantium, Constantinople, or the New Roman Empire, as it was called. And they called themselves, they were Romans, but they were Greek speaking, so they called themselves Romios, which means Roman in a kind of folk tongue. They were subverted by the Crusades and by the Templars. It's really strange if you think about it, how history is twisted in entertainment, in games and stuff. And I don't know for what purpose, or I can guess for what purpose, but then then it's a conspiracy theory and stuff, which obviously it isn't. It is, because I'm talking about it in that way, in these terms. Oh shit, I wanted to park there. Come on, I want to rest. I have 3 hours. I'm not sure if I'm gonna make it, I hope so. Okay, there is gonna be a rest stop. So I'm gonna have to take it. But so hopefully we'll be in time. So yeah, 3 hours should be plenty. But I really wanted to take that one, or when I saw it. But so yeah, and the Byzantium obviously was a Christian empire, so they can't have that. You can't have that. I mean, our current atheist society and stuff. So I don't know. I'm doubtful about certain things. But the same thing you had, for example, later on, or not later on, before the fall of Constantinople, but certainly after its decline, because then you had first you had the Merovingians, and after that you had the Carolingians. So you had Charlemagne and Charles Martel. I could have rested here as well. What the hell? What? I'm really not paying attention. It's crazy. I'm sorry. I'm talking too much. It's really my own fault. But whatever. There should be. Hopefully, I should be on time. When he came to power, the Pope gave him the crown of the Holy Roman Empire, or of the Frankish Empire, but he called it it was the continuation of the Roman Empire again, even though Byzantium already was that. But he called it the donation of Constantine. So supposedly Constantine the Great himself had given him the power, the Pope, the power to christen emperors, and he christened to name someone a king or an emperor, and he named Charles Martel. And the joke is that Charlemagne himself felt embarrassed about it. I could have rested here as well. Alright. What the hell? Why are there so many rest stops? I'm not complaining, but why can't they tell me about it? I have 2 hours. 2 more hours. Shit, I'm really losing control here. Alright, so there's a pit stop, or a gas station next here, so I'm gonna go there. Jesus Christ. Oh man. And the same thing you also see, for example, in the First Crusade. That Godefroy de Bouillon, he was the, and he's actually, he was, he was from the Low Countries as well. So he was, well, he wasn't, yeah, he was Dutch more or less. Only he spoke Lower German in that at that time, and his name was Godfried van Bouillon. He got the title of King of Jerusalem when he conquered Jerusalem, obviously. But he declined the title, and took the title of Guardian of the Sepulchre or something, Guardian of the Holy Sepulchre, instead, because he didn't feel like he, like he deserved it. So just like Charlemagne. So yeah, I'm gonna take a nap, so good night everybody. Talking in my sleep. So just like Charlemagne, he felt embarrassed, for that title. And the joke is that after he died, his brother Baudouin did accept the title. He had no scruples to become king of Jerusalem. And the joke is that he also was the one who founded the Templars afterwards, So I mean, how crazy can it get, But yeah. So, and on the other hand, so you have this subversion, So, and it's always been there throughout history, obviously, but it's only the last couple of centuries that it's really come to the fore, that it's really become, and that's why I'm still skeptical about atheism and all that stuff. Because it's kind of become too obvious, And I still do believe, I don't know, there's also evil out there, so there must be at least something to oppose it, I don't know. So yeah, I had a Christian upbringing, and I tried to live up to it. I tried to have faith, but I'm already in an awkward position when I'm talking about it. I feel awkward when I say that I believe in Jesus Christ. And that can't be a good sign. If you are afraid to talk about it. Then I dread to think what kind of world we live in. So that's kind of, and and I'm far from virtuous, obviously, and I'm far from a model believer, or a model moral person or something. I'm far from an example, or far from, but I do try to hold on, at least. Can go a lot faster here, but yeah, I'm in no hurry right now. 6 hours, I can make it in 3, so we're close already. Let's see where we are. I should oh yeah, we're gonna have toll booths. I should also learn to work with tables more, or like with the road signs. But yeah, we'll get there. It's raining a lot today. So I have the same, for example, about Liège. I have the same doubts, you know. So it used to be a theocratic, I guess, or a prince-bishopric. So a theocratic state, and it used to be, but it also used to be kind of independent from the rest of Belgium, or from the Holy Roman Empire at the time, for most of its existence history. And we also have a place like that in the Netherlands. We have Utrecht, which also used to be ruled by bishops, or by the church in any case. And you can sense it there. Somehow there's more of a Catholic, you know, obviously it's more to the southern end of the Netherlands, so it's closer there. So, and in the south they are prone to more Catholic beliefs. And in Belgium, that's, for example, is even stronger. So especially in Flanders. But in Liège you see, and that's what my point was, because in Wallonia they're not that religious, at least not anymore. So since the Belgian Revolution, religion has become kind of an anathema, you know, and you have, so in Liège you had the whole how do you say, like the iconoclasts in Constantinople, which already is crazy if you think about it. You had the same kind of thing during the Belgian Revolution and the French Revolution, obviously, that they started destroying symbols of the old regime, you know. So you have, so everywhere you see defaced monuments, more or less. Not monuments, but more like the so like the heraldry and all that stuff on buildings and all that stuff was all defaced. So I've been there, I've seen it. And of course the most blatant sign of that was, as I told you, that the citadel of the Prince Bishops in Liège had been replaced with a hospital, which on the one hand sounds nice and humanistic, you know, humanist, like the French Revolution or whatever. That's, you know, human rights and stuff have priority, and you know, all fair and well, you know. But on the one hand, you could say it's still it was still a monument, you know. I don't know who destroyed it. It probably got destroyed in the Second World War or something, because there was some trouble there as well, obviously. But you know, I do think it's kind of a defiant move or something to build the hospital there, you know. On top of all this, you know, but I don't know. I can't judge whether it was a sacred place or a scary place, you know. I can't judge whether the Prince Bishops of Liège were any better than our current politicians, for example. They probably also were corrupt, and they also probably had all kinds of I don't know, faults and whatever. But still, you know, it's this kind of defiance that lives there, and I see it in the art, in the culture, in the way people behave. And it's really scary somehow. The city is really intimidating. Not intimidating. It's downright terrifying. I would almost say. And like the nihilism that lives there, and You see that all across Belgium, obviously, for a great part, and in the Netherlands, obviously, also, and maybe even more so in a certain sense. But in Liège, the kind of the willfulness behind it was really scary. I mean, in Flanders, as I said, they still, they're for the most part, they're still very religious, and they've had this long tradition of keeping their culture alive, you know, and against all odds. And I do admire that a lot as well. The Dutch don't have that at all. They've become complacent, you know. And again, you know, both cultures have their faults, and but there's a huge difference in demeanor, or in you know, in disposition, I guess. But the thing is, you know, in France you also see the whole defiant nature kind of thing. But in France also, I have the impression that they know how to deal with it. They have had much more experience with it than the Walloons, for example, or the Belgians in general. And they're more cool with it somehow. And also the country is bigger and more powerful, so they have less to lose or something. So they can permit themselves to be like that, you know. So France is kind of a jungle somehow. And Belgium as well, obviously, but I keep saying obviously like it's so obvious, but yeah, it's different. It's interesting also that, you know, even though Walloons are technically French, they're the same thing as the Dutch in comparison to the Flemish, I think. The Walloons have grown complacent, but in contrast to the Dutch, they didn't even work for it, you know. So that's kind of even more dangerous. Because they don't realize what they've got, and they're wasting it, and in the meantime the Flemish are not gonna keep paying for that, you know. So because that's kind of the dichotomy, and that's kind of how the country works. So at least the Dutch, for example, they work for their money. You know, and they're known to be hard workers, not as hard workers as Germans, but nevertheless, immerhin, as the Germans would say. You know, they're dependable and generally only, you know, the Dutch just don't. The only difference with the Germans is the Dutch don't really like to exit their comfort zone. That's kind of the difference. So they work to keep their comfort zone intact, more or less. That might be, you know, it might be short-sighted, so sorry if I offend anyone. And I do have seen that in general, they're also very, you know, they enjoy sports and being healthy, living healthy, making the most of their time and all that stuff. So it's not like they're not, so it's not like they're completely complacent, you know. But work extends, and health, and sport, and well, work mostly extends insofar as it supports their lifestyle, and that's the key word, lifestyle. And yeah, obviously that's the whole socialist way of life, which I don't know. It doesn't bother me too much, but I am skeptical of that as well. Come on. Don't break so sharply. There we go. 36 euros. Jesus. Alright, let's see. And obviously they're not all like that, and they're lazy. They're lazy Dutch as well as hardworking Walloons and all the rest, and you know. But there is a general demographic in many cases. But there's also a general history and temperament and culture. And the general awareness of that or not, you know, and that's kind of because how self-aware is a culture, you know. The Walloons aren't, the Flemish though are, you know, and that makes their relationship all the more. No, don't go, don't. Sorry, Jesus Christ, that was awkward. Alright, I'm gonna pass you by because I'm in no mood for waiting. Thank you. Okay. Oh, interesting. Yeah, so yeah, I don't wanna, I don't wanna be, conceited or whatever, but I don't know, I just observed certain things. So you know, you have the whole symbolist culture, for example, in Belgium, like painters like Dijon and well, there are more of them. I can't remember the names right now, but Dijon is a good example. Just like in France, obviously, and you have a lot of weird, like Satanism and stuff, and all those weird subjects in the whole dark romanticism thingy. Which also started, you know, it gave the impetus for our current horror culture and stuff, like Count Dracula and Frankenstein and all that stuff, which also, for the most part, I suspect is all Swiss inventions. Like the archetype of the crazy scientist, you know, that's a typical Swiss invention. Because they do exist, you know, all those Nazi scientists and all that stuff, you know. Whatever. So yeah, so to make a long story short, because I am almost at my destination and I don't want to, but we're probably gonna explore a little as well. So whatever. I was talking about poetry in the last video and about what I was trying to do and what I'm trying to express with my story and all that stuff. And the whole thing is, you know, those archetypes, you know. The archetype is, in my opinion, or is in my understanding, and that is also Swiss, that is Carl Gustav Jung who thought of that, obviously, but we'll take his word for it for the moment. But there are reasons to think he's right, you know. It's the way the collective unconscious expresses itself. So, you know, if you have in theater or in a story or in a poem, or you know, you have characters who are kind of, you know, they're not historical figures, they're kind of abstracted from that idea. So yeah, we made it and we got our achievement. All is possible. Awesome, we got 2 achievements. Yeah, baby, that's what I'm talking about. So yeah, let's finish my story and park this thing, and then we'll be home free. So, So, you know, these characters are there not only to give us an entertaining account of what happened or of what someone did and all that stuff, but also of what the consequences are of certain actions. Hope the video didn't. Okay, okay. You know, so it also talks about general tendencies or rules or you know, laws. You know, laws of nature, laws of physics are one thing, but you also have laws of behavior, I guess. You know, laws of, you know, you could call it karma, I guess. Laws of morality, you could say, you know, or of ethics. In a much better term. I might actually consider buying another garage. I don't need to park it, this thing, because I could buy a garage. That would be. But yeah, I haven't updated my other ones yet. But I could start. Sure, why not? I don't care. So I'm gonna buy a garage today, just on an impulse. And the way these laws manifest themselves is through stories, you know, and and the way they are illustrated is through the use of archetypes. So a protagonist or a character in a story is not a person, but an archetype. You know, it's not an individual, but a type of person. So that's literally where the word comes from, archetype. The arche is the beginning, the origin. So yeah, we're gonna buy a garage here. Why not? Yes, we're gonna expand into Belgium, so it's high time we do that. And I might also buy a truck, but I'll do that in my private time, so I might show you another time. So yeah, everyone, I think I'm gonna stop here, or I'm pretty sure I'm gonna stop here. So yeah. Thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed. Despite my ramblings, I certainly had fun today. Went on an impulse, and I generally, in general, my experience says that impulses are healthy. Well, healthy impulses are healthy. So yeah, I certainly enjoyed, so hope you had fun. So this is the Flying Dutchman, signing out. Toodles.